Welcome to Charlotte Execs After Dark. Relationships, business talk, real life. With your host, Timothy Motivation Jones. Charlotte Execs is an organization of professional men and women in and around the Charlotte, North Carolina area who come together, put down the work, and enjoy life. Between live events, members meet on a group call and it's recorded for your enjoyment. Let's listen in.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I listened to some podcasts, and it sounded like I was yelling in the phone. So I have it on speaker, and I'm trying to, I'm doing the computer and talking at the same time. So I thought I was having an issue being heard. So I'm going to try to keep my voice at a normal level and not be yelling in you guys' ear. It just sounded like I was yelling, so I'm going to try to keep that under control. And we're going to see who we got on the line and go from there. This is Timothy Jones with Charlotte Execs After Dark. This is a live call that we eventually turn into a podcast. We have it weekly, different topics. Those who call in are those who hopefully will talk about the topic, and we just kind of take it from there. And getting straight to the point, I'm going to unmute you. You should hear the computer tell you that you are unmuted, and please tell us who you are.
This is Bronwyn.
Bronwyn, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Good. Glad to have you on the call again.
Thank you.
This is Shayna, a.k.a. Nikki.
Hey, how you doing, Shayna, a.k.a. Nikki? Glad to have you back, ma'am. Okay. I just unmuted somebody else. Natasha Brown.
Hello, Timothy. How are ya?
Good. How are you?
Great.
Is this Natasha?
It is.
Okay, glad to have you on the call again. I recognize that name. I'm muted you. Who's that?
This is Stacy.
Good evening, Stacy.
How are you?
Good. Glad to have you back, ma'am.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, this is Alyssa.
How you doing, Alyssa?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Is this your first time on the call?
It is.
Glad to have you. Alyssa, did you come to the event the other week?
I did.
Okay. I remember who you are. You brought a friend, right?
I did. Yeah. We had a good time.
Okay. Glad you came out. Hope to see you again.
Yeah.
This is Vidette.
But there, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Glad to have you on the call.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, this is Dashelle.
Hi, Dashelle.
Hi.
You sound so alert, ma'am. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I don't see anybody else coming in right now. They come in as we go. The topic, anybody, before I mute everybody, does anybody have any personal stories in regards to this week's topic?
Yeah. This is Alyssa, and I'm saying yes.
So
This is Vidette. I'm sorry.
both of you have a story where you had an issue with somebody who was scorned?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and mute the calls. We're going to get this thing started, and I'm sure people will chime in with questions, feedback, and other folks will come in as they come. Alyssa,
Mm-hmm.
you were the first one that said something. I'm trying to figure out where you are. Can you say something, please?
Can you hear me?
I can. I'm just trying to, pick out which number is yours. Can you go ahead and tell us your story? Mm-hmm.
Well, scoring might be too strong a word, but I've been doing some internet dating, like Plenty of Fish kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you get people you're not really interested in. It just feels rude to me not to at least say hi back if somebody says hello to you. But then it goes to some place you're not really interested in going. And what I was doing was just kind of tapering off the conversation, stop answering, etc. So you're not being mean. But when I was at your event and I was talking to one of the people in the speed dating, he brought up that fact and said that it made him feel real bad when he was talking to some woman and then they just stop talking to him and don't really say anything. So that made me rethink that strategy. Like maybe that's just making me feel better, but not necessarily making the other person feel better.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I don't know, maybe that's not matching what you were going for, but it just occurred to me, I guess, because, it was your event.
Yeah, well, looking for a particular situation that you may have, dealt with somebody who just was a little turned off by how you didn't want to proceed with them. You didn't want anything further with them.
Mm-hmm.
Could be
What?
scorn. I mean, people try to. I've known some situations. People try to destroy your life, to get you fired. False allegations, stalking, things like that.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I don't have anything that dramatic.
It's cool. No, I mean, this conversation can kind of go just about anywhere as we continue to talk. Let me find Vedette. Vedette, are you there? And somebody else
I'm here.
Somebody else just came on. Who's that caller that just came in? Well, they're not going to talk right now. Vedette, can you tell us your story?
This was a few years ago prior to me getting married. I was in church. I was a single mother. My son was probably around 10.
Mm-hmm.
So I was I'll say I was like 31 and the guy was like 41. So he was 10 years older than me. And when I met him, I initially wasn't really interested in him, but trying not to be shallow, I went ahead and talked to him after a while and, just to get to know him. And again, trying not to be shallow and being open-minded. So we got to know each other and I liked him a lot. I ended up liking him. He was a nice person. We had really good conversations. But as it proceeded, and we got to the point where we talked about marriage and moving on with the relationship because we were in church and we weren't like sexually active or dating in the normal sense that, that I had been dating prior to being in church. So it wasn't like, having a boyfriend, but like trying to court and be serious and look for a mate. Mm-hmm. So we talked about marriage and I met his family and he met my mom and my aunts. And after several months or like after a year, I realized that I didn't want to marry the guy, that what I felt for him wasn't really the type of love or attraction that you should feel for someone that you marry. But he was more of, he looked good on paper or he was a good Christian man, but I realized he wasn't someone that I wanted to marry or pursue that with. So when I finally told him that I didn't want to get married, he didn't believe me. And he was like, no, we're getting married. So this went on for a while, and I kind of was backing off, like seeing him and wasn't talking to him as much and trying to like ease him into the idea or the realization that we weren't getting married. Because whenever I would mention it to him or tell him, he didn't believe me. Mm-hmm. So it got to the point where he would do things like, come over to my house unexpected, or at the time I lived in the house, but I worked uptown, so I think I had wrecked my car. So I would ride like the city bus uptown to go to work. Mm-hmm. I would be at the bus stop early in the mornings. He would just drive by unannounced or unexpectedly, but he would act like he was just in the neighborhood. And he would give me a ride to work or whatever. But just little stuff like that started happening at first. And then it got to the point where I had an ex-boyfriend that had moved out of town. And when he came back to town, he looked me up, and he wanted to see me because we hadn't seen each other in several years. So when he came over and we visited or whatever, and later on when I talked to the original guy, the guy who I had been dating, his name was Kevin. So when I talked to him again, he knew about the guy, and he knew about the guy had been in my house. He was able to describe the guy to me, that he was tall and dark-skinned with dreadlocks. So he knew all of this. So it's like I knew that he was kind of watching me or kind of like coming by my house, but it hadn't escalated at that point. But when it started to escalate, a few months later, I started seeing another guy at our church.
Right.
And we started off as friends. And then, me still trying to be friends with Kevin because, I kind of at this time knew he was a little unstable. But I started seeing the guy that I eventually ended up marrying. But before we became romantically involved, Kevin saw me hanging out with the guy. We were just friends at the time. And
right.
he approached him and like tried to start a fight with him one time at church.
At church?
I happened not to be there at church, but I wasn't there. Like he approached him and started an argument with him.
Wow.
And then he started going to different people at church and just making up stuff about me, saying that I used him for his money or just making up all kinds of stuff. We would go, I asked him to go and talk to my pastor with me. We went to talk to my pastor. He was all upset, saying he just kept saying that I used him, and I had him taking me out to dinner and stuff and spending money on me. And I was like, and he also was telling people that I cheated on him. And that just continued on. And then when me and the new guy started getting serious and started looking at getting married, he went to his parents, his sister, his family, anybody who would listen, and would tell them stuff about me that wasn't true.
So Kevin went to the other guy's family, or?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He just kept going to people, telling them that I used him for his money, I cheated on him. All that time that I had told him I didn't want to get married, but I was still trying to be nice to him and, still be his friend. It was like a whole year had passed before I started seeing anybody else. But he was telling people that I cheated on him, that we had still been seeing each other.
In hindsight, do you think it was a bad idea to try to even remain friends with him?
I think that was a bad idea, but also I ended up getting married to the next guy. I don't think I would have. Well, I'm sure I wouldn't have never married him had it not been for Kevin, pretty much like going around lying on me and making up stuff about me.
Really?
And yeah, and like when my ex-boyfriend had came to town and Kevin knew all about the guy and how he looked, I just knew that he had been around my house. Just like when he would pop up in the mornings when I'm at the bus stop. I knew he was stalking me, but it's like, he had me nervous, and I knew he was unstable, so I went ahead and got married.
Oh.
Needless to say, my marriage didn't last, but it kind of like pushed me into wanting to just move on and have Kevin out of my life.
Was it for protection or just to, like you said, just to move on?
For him to realize that I was serious and I didn't, it was over, I'm married, I'm off limits, and that's pretty much what it took for him to leave me alone.
When the last time have you seen Kevin?
I haven't seen him. When I got married, he still came to church for like maybe a few weeks, and then he just left.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I see a couple questions coming in. I'll get to those, and I see a couple more callers. I'll get to you guys as well. Anybody got any comments or questions on Vedette? It's Vedette, right?
Yeah.
You got any comments or questions for Vedette? No, you don't have to text them to me. You can ask them out loud.
And I'm pretty sure I gave a quick version of the story anyway, so I know it's a lot of things I left out.
Yeah, there's no rush. This person, you have a New York number, 0045. Who's that? You sent some questions in. New York. Don't be shy. You're unmuted. You can go ahead and ask.
Hi, my name is Tina.
Hi, Tina.
Hi, Tina.
Hi.
Yeah, you had some questions?
Yes, I had two questions actually.
Okay.
The first question is I am in a relationship right now with someone who's comes from the wrong side of the block, if you want to put it that way. We don't have much in common. We love each other, but he comes from a very rough neighborhood, a rough environment. He's been to jail already. He got out, but I don't agree with his lifestyle. I don't really like any of his friends that don't get along with him. They're nice to me when they see me. They're polite to me, but I just don't know where this relationship is going. I care about the guy deeply. I want him to do better in life, but he's been so socialized on the streets, and just his life has been on the streets, running around and getting in and out of trouble, and just the people that he's been around. I know he wants to change his life, but I think I'm frustrated with him that he can't do better now that he has me, and I think he's also frustrated that he can't do much more than what he's doing right now. So we are struggling a lot with this.
Okay.
He's
Vedette, you got some insight on that, what she's talking about? Let me read your question real fast. You said, how do I try to talk honestly or open with someone I am scared of? I am scared of him because he is a thug and has a very short temper. Vedette?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to get at. Mm-hmm. That's the first question. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. My question is, what is it about him that attracts you to him, or what reason are you with him?
I need to just kind of think about that for a couple of seconds. I think when I first met him, he seemed like a very nice person, even though he does come off as pretty tough. When I first met him, he was actually really sweet and very funny, and I thought that persona of being very tough is just something that he shows, but really deep down he's a very sweet and kind person, and I think that's what attracted me to him, that he seemed like he was very sweet and not the party guy that I assumed that he was. He just wanted to just relax and talk and watch funny things on YouTube, and just I felt like he could be a really great friend as well, and that was the impression that he gave, and I don't see that so much anymore. The nice, sweet personality has now changed into annoyance with me, has led us to a lot of arguments, and he has called me a crybaby. He has said that I'm very annoying. So it's I don't know if I answered your question. I just guess he seemed very sweet and charming and cute in the beginning. He seemed like a really sweet person. He seemed like he's very family oriented. So talked about his mom a lot, talked about his grandmother and how much he loves these women. He doesn't have a father. He never grew up with a father, so these women are very important to him. So I thought that's really nice that he loves these women so much. That shows that he has a lot of respect for women, I guess. But I guess he hasn't really shown that to me recently, and we've just been arguing a lot. So I feel like I don't know who this person is becoming. He's not the same person as when I first met him.
Okay.
I would just say that what he's showing you is exactly who he is. When the guys show you who they are, believe that. Don't second guess that. Believe what he shows you versus what he tells you.
So when he first showed me, that wasn't him?
That's his representative. That's when he's trying to get you. And it takes time for you to see the real him. So when you start seeing the real him, believe that. Believe that over what he initially showed you.
Yeah. Anybody else got some feedback on what she was saying?
It just struck me when she said that she was afraid to speak with him, like talk to him.
I'm sorry.
This is Alyssa. Sorry, Alyssa.
Okay.
I did 10 years with a guy who had been abusive in the past, and I knew that. But he wasn't that way to me. Like you were saying, to me, he showed me a sweet side, and I was with him as his dad died and held him as he cried, and, you know, things that he would never do in our neighborhood. So I thought I was special or different or something. But when he began to show me that that wasn't necessarily the case, because it's really not about me. It's about him. That's just who he is. I just kept a firm line on it. You know, you're not going to call me a bitch. Don't call me out of my name. Don't raise your voice to me in front of my kid. Just, I had a lot of rules that kept him in check. So I thought we were doing it. You know, we were okay. But over the years, I noticed that it wasn't so much that we were okay. There were so many things that we never got to talk about because we couldn't talk. I had to keep the reins so tight on what he could say and I could say. There was no communication. And so we grew older and we grew apart because we didn't really know each other in the first place. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So if you're with a guy and you're afraid to talk to him, that relationship is doomed because you can't make a relationship with someone you can't talk to.
Right. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else with some comments or some feedback? This Orlando, Florida number. I'm sorry, I'm going to unmute you. You got some feedback? Who's that? Don't be shy. We're not going to bite you. Anybody else? Ronald, Nikki, Stacy, Michelle?
I just agree. I agree so far with what they're saying, especially if you're scared.
Who is this?
This is Bronwyn.
Okay.
That's part of being in a relationship, being able to communicate with someone. So if you're scared to talk to that person, that definitely is a red flag.
Mm-hmm. You had a second.
For me, I had a question for the first or the second story. Whenever she was talking about the guy named Kevin. My question was at what point did you start to realize that he was unstable, and like what do you do at that point? Did you ignore the signs, or were they there, or did it come up out of the blue, out of nowhere?
Well, initially what made me realize that I didn't want to marry him because I realized that he kind of was still flirting with other people, or, you know, he would tell me he wanted to get married, he wanted to do all these things, but then he wouldn't make a move towards it. So that's what I started to realize, or started to look at him in a different light. I started to realize that he wasn't doing what he said he was going to do, or he wasn't keeping his word. I started to realize he was unstable when I actually told him I didn't want to get married, and he didn't take my word for it. He was like, "No, we're getting married." So he just kept saying, "No, we're getting married," and he kept trying to, just continue on like we were together. When I realized he really was mentally unstable was he came to take me to the grocery store one day, and we're in the car, and he just started driving real fast and talking like, "I don't know what's wrong with you. I'm a good guy. You messing up. You're going to miss out. You're going to hate." He just started talking crazy, but at the same time, he's driving really fast. So I got nervous, and I just started, I didn't really want to say anything that just piss him off and cause us to be, hit a tree or something. I didn't know what he would do. So I just really quietly asked him to just take me home. I didn't need to go to the grocery store. And he finally turned the car around and took me home. I got out the car, and that's when I realized I needed to really back up from him. I can't just be his friend because he's not handling that too well. But so that's when I realized he was mentally unstable, and I had to do things different. And I understood, when you break up with somebody, they got to know that you mean it.
Right.
And in some cases, you might just have to stop talking to them altogether, cut off all our communication, and just stop fooling with them.
Mhm.
So I guess with me not doing it immediately, maybe I gave mixed signals. So when I did start seeing somebody else, even though it was a year later, he's telling people I cheated on him.
Mhm. Yeah. Sometimes it is best to just cut it all the way off.
Yeah.
Because they got that hope, They got that little lingering hope, and it's almost like you're toying, even though that's not your intent.
Right.
You had a second question, Tina, about a narcissist. You said, how do I keep my relationship going with a narcissist? Is it worth it, or should I just let it go? Can I ask you, what do you do? How do you define a narcissist?
The last couple of weeks, I've been came across an article online somewhere saying, kind of asking a question: Are you dating a narcissist, or is your husband or is your significant other a narcissist? And it was some kind of a title like that, and I just decided to read it out of curiosity. And a lot of the things that were mentioned in that article, the type of person, how they're defined as a narcissist, the things they do, how they manipulate the people around them, make them feel like that they're inferior to that person. I mean, everything was just. I mean, this one article, I read this, and just it defines who my boyfriend is, and in every way, he's the epitome of what a true narcissist is. He's only about himself. He's a very handsome guy. You can say he's a pretty boy. So he, from a young age, since he was a baby, he's gotten all this attention. He thought about going into modeling. He did some. He was in some rap videos for some of his friends. I mean, he just, from a very young age, everyone thought that he was so cute, and being a light-skinned baby in a very large black family, he just got a lot of attention, and that carried on until adulthood. And so I think the environment made him kind of the environment plays a huge part in the type of person that he is. He always gets credit because of how he looks, and
so he's conceited.
I'm sorry?
So he's conceited.
He's very conceited. He's very selfish and into his looks. I mean, he spends a lot of money and time and energy into making sure his clothes are good, his sneakers are good, hairstyle, everything. So he's very shallow, very into his looks, and it's really starting to make me sick. And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sorry. It's like the way you even describing him is like you're describing him with disgust. You know what I'm saying? It's just the way you're saying it, and I'm yet to too much hear anything that you do like. What is it? Is it time? What is it that still got you there? Is it? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, we've grown on here. Is it sex? Is it time? I mean, what is it? What got you going?
I guess part of it is the intimacy, and part of it is I'm hoping that sweet person that I knew at the very beginning is going to come back, because he comes out. There are moments when that sweet person that I knew at the very beginning comes out. He's not always very mean and very angry. There are times when he talks about having a family, and talks about he wants to have a daughter and raise her like this, and this is her name, and this is what we're going to name her, and she's going to look cute like you. So I guess amongst all of this, the way he is, there are moments and there are times when that sweet person comes out. And I'm always hoping for that. I'm always hoping for that sweet person.
Can I ask you this? Have you ever seen this thing called the cycle of abuse chart. You want to Google that. It's called a cycle of abuse chart, and it has a cycle. It says first you have the honeymoon or the reconciliation phase, and then there's a calm, and then there's tension building, and then there's an incident or acting out phase. And then they go back to the honeymoon, and that sweet part comes out. It's calm a little bit, tension again. Boom. It's a cycle. That's a cycle of abuse chart, and that's kind of how they usually roll. Sounds like narcissism. All the things that you were talking about, selfish. You're afraid of him. Do you feel like he's abusing you at all?
Yes, he's verbally abusing me. Emotionally, verbally abusing me, yeah.
Okay. And then your question was, should you get out? Then I would say strongly a yes. Do you live with him?
No, I don't. I decided not to do that. He wanted me to, first he wanted me to move closer to him, and then he had decided that since I'm working and he's kind of in between jobs, that he should move in with me. And I said, I don't think so. I don't think this is going to be good. I don't think my parents are going to be happy with this. I'm not comfortable with this right now. I think marriage in my family comes first before two people move in together. Maybe that's being too old-fashioned or being very traditional, conservative, but that's the way we were raised. So I decided not to. I decided against it. Although my parents could not stop me if I wanted to go forward with it because I'm an adult. But I decided not to do that. I wanted to hold up to that value that you've got to put something. You've got to show me some value before we actually get married and move in together. It's not going to happen, just like that, just because you say it or you tell me that you love me or I tell you that I love you. It's not. I like that kind of boundary that we need to be husband and wife before we move in together, live together.
Yeah, but one of the first things is to really decide if you're going to move on, and not if you want to, because it sounds like you want to, but if you're going to. A lot of times people stay in it because, like you said, the intimacy, sex, or whatever, and then of course that manipulation part. Oh, I need you. I'll change.
It's like a drug, It's like this mean and very frustrated side of him that's coming out much more now. And I feel like, as some of the women have said earlier, that this is the real him. All the nice, sweet stuff that he was saying in the very beginning was just a representative. That wasn't really him. So
right.
I see this now, that this is the real him, because I see this much more than that sweet, soft, cute, lovable person in the very beginning. And I'm hoping for that, and I'm hoping that I'll see that person again, or that person is going to come back, or he went on vacation and that personality part of him was going to come back somehow, and I'm hoping for that. And I feel like I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I don't even know why I'm still with this guy.
Mm-hmm. Now,
I apologize to the other women. I don't want to just talk about this forever. I know everyone has questions.
It's cool. It's cool. I want to ask Stacy and Nikki, because they've been on the previous call where they had some situations and they got out of the situations. So I want to ask them, what do they feel like your next step should be, if to remove yourself from that situation?
Hey Tim.
Oh, go ahead, Stacy.
Okay, sorry, Nikki. Hey, Tim, I was just about to try to chime in. First things first is you have to have self-love. I hear the young lady talking, and she's talking about the values that she has for a relationship, but my question is, what values do you have for yourself as a woman? And, at what part do you realize I'm worth more than this? Why would I allow myself to go through this?
And that's Stacy talking. Mm-hmm.
And this is Nikki. I would have to piggyback because I wanted to chime in as well, because I was just sitting here just listening. And I got a question. How old is the guy and the young lady that's speaking?
When I met him, When I met him, he was 26. He's now 28. And when I met him, I was 30, and now I'm 32.
Okay. And the reason why I asked the age, because a lot of times men and women as well, we take things when we're younger, we're more naive to certain things, and we'll just sit around and deal with it. I feel like in this situation, being that y'all don't live together, you have your own space, and like Stacey said, you have values. You have to think about yourself first. I mean, if you're in a situation and you're scared of someone, it shouldn't even be a thought in your mind that you need to get out of that situation, regardless of, okay, he's nice in the beginning, but he like the young lady said before, he's showing you his true self. Now it's up to you to actually make that decision or make that next step to move on with your life. Or if you want to deal with it, then you can't complain about anything that you're getting from him because you're still there. You have to actually think about yourself and make that first step to moving on. And like someone said previous, you have to cut off all kinds of communication if you really want to move on and be in a happy situation. Because right now it's like you're actually a hostage in that situation. And I've been in a situation like that before, and you don't even stay with this guy. I was actually living with the guy temporarily. So you have all means to just disconnect yourself with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Tina, do you have children?
No, I do not.
Okay. Are you afraid that he's going to act out or something if you try to cut it off? Curiously.
Possibly. I think he'll be very upset. I think he has cursed me out. He has hung up the phone on me when we were talking over the phone, and I was just trying to talk to him naturally. This is a part of him that he doesn't know how to talk naturally and disagree in a healthy way. Everything turns into an argument on his side. Everything that I say to him seems like it's coming some kind of an attack on him. So it's very hard to talk to a guy who has a very short fuse, first of all, doesn't listen to me, has to dominate the conversation all the time. So it's been very difficult to even try to even attempt to talk to him. So I've just become very silent in the relationship. I don't have a voice at all, and I hate it because I can't be who I really am. It's very frustrating, but I love the guy, and a part of me is still hoping for that sweet person that I saw in the beginning, which, as many of you pointed out, probably doesn't exist anymore. It was just a front, maybe. Not maybe, most likely it was just a front.
And it's interesting that you use the word narcissist, because I've been looking up definitions, and even though as we were talking and I'm listening, and just real quickly, it was saying a narcissistic personality is a mental disorder in which people have an inflated sense of their own importance, a deep need for admiration, and a lack of empathy for others. But behind this mask of ultra confidence lies a fragile self-esteem that's vulnerable to the slightest criticism.
That's exactly him. Can't take a single ounce of criticism. He has to, because his mom, his grandmother, the women in his life, the girls that he's dealt with, everyone made him feel like he's the superior person because he's a very light-skinned guy in among African Americans. So everyone has to make him feel good, and that's where there's a lot of tension now because he's feeling like he's not getting that admiration and respect and all of that from me, like he's gotten from every single person before me, and so he's feeling very frustrated because of that. Yeah.
One thing to note again is it's a mental disorder, and it says here that narcissistic personality disorder treatment is centered around talk therapy. In parentheses, it says psychotherapy. So it's not something just simple, just to think that's going to go away. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, most likely he will if we do end up, and I apologize once again, I don't want to keep talking about this. I'm sure other people on the call might have questions too. and want to continue. But I'll just say one thing. If we do break up, which most likely sounds like it's going to happen soon, I don't know how much longer I can take, how much more I can take of this, but he'll probably just be the same. He'll just do the same thing to the next girl and the next girl and the next girl after that. So I don't see him sitting down and going to therapy. I don't think guys who grow up in these types of environments believe in that kind of stuff. So so he may never go through that therapy. It may take many years. It may take 10 years, 15, 20 years for him to actually realize that there's a problem. He needs to change something. But I don't see him sitting down and doing the talk therapy. I don't see that. I see him making the same mistakes over and over again. So, but thank you to everybody, and I don't want to keep talking about it.
You never know. You never know. Somebody was about to say something.
Yeah, this is Nikki. I wanted to say something really quick before she finished her story. I was just listening to her, and a lot of the things that she's saying about what's going on, she's actually concerned about him, about how he's going to do things, how it's going to happen with someone else. What needs to actually happen is that you need to put yourself first. Like Stacey said, you have to actually know your self-worth. Don't worry about what he's going to do with the next woman and the next woman. You need to worry about your happiness and how he's treating you. If you're not happy in that relationship and you're fed up, then you need to walk away, because it's not about him. It's about you and if you're happy. If you're not happy,
I don't know how to do that. I don't know.
Okay, I have a question.
Who is that with a question?
I have a question. This is my dad.
Okay.
What type of relationships have you had before him? Because it seems like even when you started telling us about him, everything you said sounded very negative. And it sounded like you already know what you should do, but for some reason you don't want to walk away, or you're just hoping that, it turns around. So I'm just curious as to what type of relationships have you had in the past, or, is it something that you're fearful of, being alone, or what's going on with that?
I think part of that is there's a fear of, I'm 32 now, so there is a fear of, I don't want to be alone, and I'd like to get married one day and have children. So there's part of there's a bit of fear of of being alone for the rest of my life. I do fear that. There's also a sense of and I've met guys like this before. The other guy before, my ex before, one of my exes, he was not too different. He didn't have the rude or the very abusive personality type, but he was also kind of a narcissist, kind of into himself and into his looks, and needed admiration from everybody around him. But deep down, he was a very fragile person. He didn't really have a lot of self-confidence, so he needed to get that from other people. So I think my situation, and now that I'm thinking about it, is I'm a very nurturing person and very trusting. And maybe many of you on the call can probably tell that I'm pretty mild and maybe very naive. Even being a 32-year-old, I'm probably much more naive than someone who's 10 years younger than me, who probably has a lot more maybe more common sense, or maybe more street smarts, or maybe I don't know, maybe has a stronger personality.
Well,
I think I'm
let me say this.
I'm very mild, so maybe I'm a doormat. Maybe that's what it is.
Let me say this. When I was
people like me, I don't know.
It may be that's the kind of energy you're drawing or bringing to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 32, when I got married, and I married a idiot, and he was kind of like that to a degree, narcissistic, couldn't have a conversation, couldn't communicate, couldn't resolve issues, so things just got swept under the rug, and I was kind of complacent and nurturing and all of that. But I was 32. I'm 43 now, and the difference with me now is that I realized I didn't need him. I thought I needed to get married, I needed to have children, all of that, settle down. I was 32, so that clock was ticking. But in retrospect, I realized that I was actually, I didn't need him. I didn't need a man at all. What I needed to do was find myself. So I'm active. Right now in my life, I'm very active. I do a lot of different activities. My son is in college, or he's moved out. And, I just do me. I spend a lot of time just exploring and figuring out what I like and, you know, who I am. So I know who I am now, and I attract a whole different type of guy at this time in my life. And it's because I'm confident in myself, and I know myself.
Mhm. Yeah. I hear that a lot. You know, what you are what you attract. Bronwyn, you said you had a question?
He actually said what I was about to say, but you were saying that you're 32, you haven't been married, um, and I think you should just basically get to loving you and take some time to yourself. It's okay to be alone. The best person to spend the best time with, like spend the time with yourself, get to know yourself, get to love yourself. It's okay. If you can't spend time with yourself and love on yourself, you really can't expect other people to do it. So I definitely think
I don't know how to get there. I mean, it's great that
you know what? Sometimes you just gotta take it one day at a time. Especially, it sounds like you just need to build your self confidence. Like, just take it one day at a time. You don't have to rush into it. Just do one thing a day to figure out what you like, what you don't like. But it sounds like a cycle. Like you really need to evaluate yourself, figure out what makes you happy, and just focus on being happy, and everything else will fall into place.
Yeah, I think Stacy just texted me and said it's a cycle too. Tina, how's your relationship with your father?
It's very complicated. He's a narcissist as well.
Hold on, you just said he's a narcissist as well?
Yes, sir. Yeah, he is.
So do you have any type of relationship with your father?
I mean, I don't live at home. I'm not. He lives in a different city, but it's complicated. He's almost 70 now, so I feel pity for him. He changed a lot. He was it's very interesting that the type of guy that I'm dating right now resonates a lot with the type of father that I had growing up. So my father's also a narcissist, and he's 70 now, so he's milder now. He's much more softer than when I was living at home. But yeah, it was a very complex relationship. He was a very mean person, and he wanted a lot of attention. He was kind of competing with me in getting my mom's attention. Like, he needed her attention all the time, and she tried to, give us hugs and kisses and talk to us and give us encouragement. He felt I could see that he was always in competition with me and my sister to try to get her love, and so it was and he was a very mean person. He was mean to my mom. He used to say a lot of mean things to her. Not often, but every so often he used to hit her. He used to hit her on the arm or slapped her one time across the face. It never got more violent than that, but I mean, a couple of times he did hit her. He did say a lot of mean things to her when they were arguing, and it's a complicated relationship. I love my father because he's my father, because he's a part of me. I came from him, and so there's that love, but I also hate him in some ways because his personality is he's such a mean person to everybody, and yeah, that's complicated. I keep him at a distance because just for my own sanity. But it feels like I'm dating these types of guys who are kind of like him. And
yeah, that definitely sounds like you're dating somebody who's mirroring what you grew up seeing, maybe as your norm. Have you ever been physically abused and kind of stayed in it, made excuses for the guy, and just something like that? Well, you're making excuses for the guy who's mentally abusive, but have you ever had any physical abuse too?
No. The two exes that I had, they were verbally abusive. They never hit me.
Okay.
They said a lot of terrible things, though.
Yeah. Well, it's not. I'm glad you're on the call, and it's definitely not something just to have a call and get off the call and just go on with your life. I think you definitely need to do something. I'm glad you're on the call. I'm glad these women were able to speak some insight and give you some wisdom.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
So I hope you would take these words to heart and not just get off the phone and, as if nothing was ever said. But make a move, you know, whatever your next step is to better yourself, which is sounds like definitely getting out of the situation. You know, you don't need to be slothful regarding that. Just go ahead and make that move. And it's okay to be by yourself. It's okay to be single. You know, I'm single. I'm by myself. You'll live. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You will live. And then sometimes, I mean, you get to know you. You get to know you really get to know you. Spend some, like somebody Bronwyn said, spend some time with yourself. You know, read some books, listen to the music. You know, it's okay. You know, it's a difference between being alone and lonely. You know, it's okay to be alone. You know, and if you get that lonely, you know, I'm sure you got some friend girls or bookstore or something that you can find something to do. You're on Meetup, right? You found us on Meetup, so you're in other Meetup groups, huh?
Yeah, true.
Are any guys on the call? Any men on the
No.
call?
I got a couple of silent people who's not saying anything. I'm not sure who they are. But why did you trying to hook her up?
No, I was wanting to hear if they had anything to say, any feedback.
Oh,
male point of view.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another male, yeah.
Yeah, but you could. Tina, are you in any other meetups?
I think there's a couple of other meetups that I did join, and recently I'm kind of new to the whole meetup thing. I know it existed for many years, and I just never joined it, so I'm still getting used to all these meetups and stuff. Yeah.
I'm just curious if you had any other places to hang out. That's all. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Who had a question?
I just wanted to tell her there's so many women empowerment groups on Meetup. There's boards online. You could chat with people across the world. Like, you don't, even though, like you said, you can be alone, but you don't have to be lonely. You just need to take it one day at a time, and you definitely can find some help. There's people out there that are willing to listen to your story and help and encourage you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Who's from Orlando, Florida? 0718. You've been there listening. Who's that? Go ahead. It's okay. 0718. Who's that? I don't know. It could be a man. Who knows? Some of these people just get on. They don't say anything. 3372. I think you've been talking. Who's that? 3372 in Charlotte. Who's that?
Hey, Tim, this is Dashelle. That's my number.
Oh, okay. And then I see Kwame's on. He just got on, though. Let me go ahead and unmute you, man. So, no, you can't give feedback on anything because you just got on. What's up, Kwame? You there?
Yeah, brother. How you doing? I'm sorry, late.
Oh, that's cool, man. We was just wrapping up a situation we was discussing. And we're going to move on to anybody else's situation if we got any others. Any other callers?
I have a situation, but it's not like it was based on the scoring part. This is Bronwyn.
Yeah, and the thing, I'm sorry. I'd be knowing who's talking because I can see like your microphone moving next to your name. I'd just be saying that so the people who are listening can know who's talking. Okay, you can go ahead.
My situation was actually with a coworker. When I started my current job, we ran into each other in the break room. He seemed like a nice guy. Was very friendly, talked to me a lot. But I wasn't interested in dating him because I just personally don't want to date within where places that I work. And well, we got to know each other. I told him, I was an artist and he saw some of my work. And he actually asked me to do a custom piece for him, which it took months to do. I did the work. And as we basically started getting to know each other, he revealed that he had a girlfriend, and I'm like, okay, I'm not interested in you that way, so that's fine. I don't, it's strictly business. We work together, keeping it very friendly. And then as time went on, you could see he was trying to be a little bit more flirty, try to make, little comments here and there, and I would shut him down. So, of course, whenever I got finished with the artwork or the piece that I was making, the custom piece, because I had shut him down on his advances, he was, I guess, in his feelings and felt some type of way about it. And basically, he did not want to pay me for my work that I did. So I definitely learned from that situation, especially from a business standpoint, you get a 50% deposit before you even do custom work. But it was just very interesting that he was so, I guess, sensitive about it. Because, like, even whenever I see him now, he'll look at me and roll his eyes because he felt some type of way because I didn't take him up on his offer. But he had a girlfriend, so that's just my story. It wasn't really nothing crazy.
It wasn't nothing crazy?
Yeah, it wasn't nothing crazy. It's just when I see him now, we just keep it moving.
High and by.
High and by, that's it. But yeah, it really shocked me because for him to be so petty and to have a girlfriend, and then with talking with other females that I work with, apparently he does the same little strategy, or he does the same little, I guess, he keeps the same little, I guess, tactics that he used to try to talk to girls. And I'm like, but he has a serious girlfriend. But yeah.
Serious girlfriend. He's like a serious,
so much so that
serial cheater.
he claimed he was going to propose to the girl. So that's why I never really paid him any attention. And then when he came at me sideways, I'm like, where is this coming from? So
to some people, men and women, that's just, that don't mean nothing to them. It's just somebody to lock down while they still having their fun. They don't take it serious.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. Kwame, let me ask you something from a male point of view. They were just asking, any men on the line? Well, we have our women. It's just as fine. We still can get wisdom and insight. But from a male point of view, have you ever had any dealings with a woman and she kind of got scorned?
Brother Tim, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, brother. I'm a same situation at a work site that I work with. This was years ago. Years ago too. Young lady, she had an attraction to me, and I wasn't trying to go there with her like that, and yeah, and it just, I was like, wow, because everyone else was like, yeah, man, she got, she's trying to holler, what's up?
Thick,
I was like, wow, I just wasn't, she just wasn't my, my type. I was always cool and trying to be cordial. I wasn't trying to be, but again, and boy, she was like, yo, what's up? And I was like, nah, it ain't like that, man. You thought I, I called her out a name or something, man. And everybody was looking at me like I was crazy. I was like, nah, man, this wasn't, I guess, she wasn't my cup of tea.
Okay, and she wasn't your cup of tea. What happened?
What happened was basically, man, she, it was a whole different tone whenever it's talking. First it was sweet, now giddy, now it was like, it's like, I say, hey, listen, how you doing? Oh, damn. Could you hand me the pencil? You can get it yourself. Wow, just
a little attitude. So it wasn't really nothing. She didn't get bonkers on you then. You just a little attitude problem when you come around.
Yeah, because the thing about it, put it this way, because believe me, if I had knocked it and then left, oh man, it would have been a whole. It would have been nasty then.
Sex will play with your feelings. Good, especially some good sex. I'm talking about men and women. Sex will mess with your feelings.
Oh yes it will. Yes it will.
They tell you in a minute. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be friends, man. Once you do that.
Oh yeah, and about it. And you know what? Let me say this too. There's a situation where I've done that and mistakenly didn't want to do that, but did it, And unfortunately, yeah, that relationship ended kind of funky too. And again, I lesson learned. Lesson learned when you're young. You do things. Just, live and learn.
Right.
Yeah, that's happened to me too.
I had a situation with a woman, and we didn't even have sex. It was a lot of conversation, spending time. She was going through a divorce or something like that. I guess you that shoulder to lean on. But once it just kind of was fading, it's like it was too much drama going on still between her and her husband. Husband to be an ex or whatever you want to call it, separated. I just wasn't feeling it. But I would notice, I'm in Michigan, every time I would turn around, I would notice that her vehicle is in my rear view. This happened a good 5, 6, 7, 8 times. I'm like, this ain't no coincidence that I keep seeing this woman, this vehicle, right behind mine. I'm on the other side of town, north side, south side. And it did kind of, make you nervous because you don't know what this person would do if they're willing to follow you. You don't know what's going on. But it didn't get too much crazier than that. But that's crazy enough. But I've also had the trying to destroy, trying to destroy opportunities. Get vindictive. And this, it's just because they wanted something that I didn't want. They wanted something deeper. This is a different person. They wanted something deeper that I just didn't want. So they got very vindictive and just trying to destroy relationships that I had, destroy opportunities, and was successful at some of it, honestly. I'm like, this chick is nuts. This is why I'm not so quick to even tell, and I don't ask people where they live because they don't ask me where I live. I ain't telling you until I know you. I don't tell folks where I work. I just say I'm blue collar. That's all. I don't. Because, when you don't have that experience, it's like you just kind of keep some stuff on the low. Just like women who've been stalked. They don't share so much information. That's their prerogative. But you haven't walked in their shoes, so you probably don't understand why they're so secretive. It's just to protect yourself. Because you deal with the wrong female, she'd be calling you corporate and making up stuff. And, I just kind of keep stuff on the low now because of those situations. That's me. Of course, there's some other things, but we don't have all night to talk about what I've been through. It's so quiet.
It's more of a thought whenever you guys were talking about, when you were saying somebody, the girl in your rear view. My thing with stalkers is, how do you even have time for it? It's just, I don't see that takes a lot of energy. That's all I understand. You really got to be committed to be a stalker.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
It was just a random thought.
No, true. And Stacy, you said you've been through something like that before. The person seems to be mesmerized with you and what you, especially if it was an intimate relationship. It's like they could care less about whatever's going on in their life. They're just so mesmerized, for lack of a better word, with what's going on in your life. It's just, and trying to stop it from, happening. Who knows? They probably don't even eat. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have the energy for it.
I don't either. It's, don't you, like you said, don't you have a life? But yeah, Tina, I hope you get some help. I hope you hang out with some buddies and join some meetups that Brian once suggested. Empowerment. Yeah, definitely sounds like you need, no offense, but a boost in your self-esteem. So maybe getting around some women who can sharpen that for you will be a help to you. Any more questions, comments, or stories? We're going to keep this an hour long tonight, huh? Guess not. Still don't know who that Orlando, Florida number is. They just listening.
Just call them back.
Who is that?
Just call them. Call their phone number when you hang up.
Oh, okay. Well, thank y'all for joining the call tonight. and appreciate y'all insight. Think of something next week to talk about. Hope to see you then. Sunday, just check the calendar, y'all. We don't want to say a lot of stuff on the podcast because it'll be past tense by the time they hear it. But check the calendar. Got some things coming up. Bowling party, skating, social. And I hope to see y'all soon. Thank y'all for joining the call. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night.
Nice.
Thank you for tuning in to Charlotte Execs After Dark, where we discuss relationships, business talk, and real life. We'd love for you to join us live. Visit charlotteexecs.com for more information. Until next time, enjoy life.